suspects are being. One case involves the FBI is now offering $100,000 to see if the police are releasing marathon.
Elnaz Hajtamiri was staying at a family member's home on January 12, 2022, when three men entered the home and dragged her through the snow before taking her to a white Lexus. Hello and welcome to Missy Mysteries. I'm your host Keely, and this is a true crime and paranormal podcast. Today's episode, I'm going to be talking about the abduction of a woman named Elnaz Hajtamiri. Before I talk about what is happening and how we can help Elnaz, I want to share a recent plea from the Indiana State Police about an unidentified little boy. On April 16, 2022, about a week ago at the time of recording, mushroom hunters in Washington County, Indiana, found a Las Vegas-themed suitcase in a wooded area near a dead-end road on the 7,000 block of East Holder Road in New Pekin. The closest major city to New Pekin is Louisville, Kentucky, about 30 miles away. This suitcase is an overall print of the famous Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada sign. Inside of the suitcase, police found the remains of a 5-year-old boy. Police have not released a composite of the boy, but have released photos of the suitcase in hopes someone will recognize the suitcase and provide a tip that can lead to his identity. He is a 5-year-old black boy, but could be as old as 8 years old. He is 4 foot tall, with a slim build and short hair. The state police are running missing persons reports for the state of Indiana, but haven't made any progress yet. This means that he could be from anywhere, or he has not been reported missing yet. If you know anyone that has this suitcase or know a missing 5-year-old who fits this description, please call 1-888-437-6432. I'm going to be giving many numbers by the end of this episode, so I will have this number along with all the rest given throughout this episode in the episode description. I will also have an article linked that provides the pictures of the suitcase. To start off Elnaz's story, I want to tell who she is. Elnaz is a 37-year-old woman. She was born and raised in Iran into a big and very loving family. Her family has a saying, think right, do right, act right. They are all taught by their grandmother that your actions matter, and it is important to help people. Elnaz takes what she was taught by her grandmother very seriously and is known as a very generous woman. She is known for donating and volunteering her time to charities. Her family says that she's a go-getter and hard-headed. When she wants to make something happen, she makes it happen. This includes her passions, education, acts of activism, and her independence. Elnaz has a bachelor's degree in international insurance and married her beloved husband Fernand when she was 25 years old. Elnaz and Fernand are described as being an iconic couple by her family. The two were happy together and loved to travel. Sadly, in 2017, Fernand became sick with an illness involving his lungs and ended up passing away fairly quickly. Elnaz was devastated by the death of her husband, and just a year later, she ended up moving to Canada because being in Iran just reminded her of the life they had together, and she needed a fresh start. Elnaz picked Canada because she has friends and family in Canada as well as in the United States. Before leaving Iran, she did one more big act of kindness. She used her money from her savings and assets to build a school in a village for young girls in honor of her late husband. Even after leaving Iran, she continued to donate to the school to help while she started her life in Ontario, Canada. She began to volunteer at charities in Canada and worked for a while as an administrator in the shipping industry. Elnaz built a life for herself and even gained her Canadian permanent resident card. After working in the shipping industry, she began to focus on her passion and fuel her creative side by baking cakes for birthdays and anniversaries, as well as making candles. Her family believes that Elnaz mostly stayed single out of respect and love for her late husband, and just being busy starting her life in Canada. But in 2021, she met a 34-year-old man named Mohammed Lilo. She dated Mohammed for about 6 months, but they didn't seem to be too serious. When her family would ask about him, she seemed like she wasn't very comfortable sharing and not very happy. When her uncle would ask about Muhammad, she would always say that she didn't know if their relationship was for her and she didn't know what she was doing. The podcast True North True Crime did an episode on Elna a few months back and were able to get an interview with her uncle where I got most of my information about their family, but he does share that in Iran, you don't share much about your relationships unless they are a serious partner, and this may play a factor in why she didn't share too much information about her relationship with Muhammad with her family. Elna and Muhammad ended their relationship in October of 2021, but unfortunately this was just the beginning of harassment and attacks. On December 20th, 2021, Elna was in an underground parking structure of her Richmond Hill condo when she was approached by two men. These men then proceeded to attack Elna with frying pans till one of the men pointed out that she had a passenger in her car. They stopped attacking her and went to the passenger side of her car, but were interrupted and ran away when a man entering the parking structure heard Elna and her passenger screaming and ran to go help them. Elna's passenger and the man who scared away the two men attacking her helped her to the lobby of the condos, where they called the ambulance. When the paramedics got to her condo, Elna actually refused to let them take her. This was most likely out of panic from being attacked. She was having a very hard time believing that she could trust the paramedics, and it wasn't until the police came to help that she went with the paramedics to the hospital. Elna ended up needing 40 stitches in her head and her face from the attack. Elna did not feel safe after being released from the hospital, and the police did not feel safe leaving her alone at her condo, especially since days before this attack, 3 GPS trackers had been found hidden in her car. Police gave her time to collect her belongings from her condo, and she was taken to a safe house in Wasaga Beach. At this safe house, just weeks after her attack, on January 12, 2022, Elna was abducted from the Wasaga Beach home. She was sitting on the couch around 8 p.m. with 2 family members when they heard a knock at the door. 3 men dressed as police with handcuffs, guns, and tactical police vests said they had a warrant for the arrest of Elna. They entered the home, pushing her family members against the wall and threatening to shoot them if they moved, and spoke very aggressively to everybody in the home. One of her family members noticed that these men had white sneakers on and became very suspicious of them actually being police officers. A struggle between the 3 men, Elna and her family members, broke out, and one of her family members were able to run out of the front door of the house and to a neighbor's house. He began to bang on their door, yelling for them to call the police, and during the time that he was doing this, 3 men dragged Elna out of the home, dragging her through the snow before getting to a white Lexus SUV where they threw her phone and watch into the snow before throwing her in the car and driving away with her. The police were called to the home, and as the news of her abduction broke, her family was devastated. Police have been working on not only her abduction, but the attack on her from December 2021. Elna's family has designated her uncle as the family spokesman, but her mother, who is still living in Iran, has made videos pleading for her daughter to be brought back safely. The family has hired an attorney to advocate for them named Devin Baines. He has put together a legal team including forensic investigators and private investigator Tom Klatt. This legal team is working with the police to help bring Elna home, and they do believe she is alive being held by her abductors. No arrests or suspects have been made when it comes to Elna's abduction, but 2 arrests have been made, as well as a warrant for an arrest when it comes to her assault and her harassment. The first arrest was made 9 days after her abduction, and that arrest was her ex-boyfriend Mohammed Lilo. He was charged with criminal harassment, but from what I could find in my research was released on bail. This charge has nothing to do with her assault or abduction, but on April 25th, news broke Mohammed had hired a private investigator to follow Elna sometime between December 6th to December 9th. Gabriel Kojokoru, the owner of Investigations Plus Ltd., told CBS News that he was hired by Mohammed to follow Elna. He had PIs who followed Elna's movements from both her condo and the Wasaga Beach home. He even had a PI at the home till 6 p.m. on the night she was abducted. But the PI had left to eat and take medication. Gabriel was told that he was no longer needed the day after her abduction, and when he found out about what had happened to Elna, he went to the police with all the information he had. He told the CBC News, quote, "When I heard the story, I didn't feel good at all. I was very depressed and very upset about the whole thing because we don't associate with criminals. I don't support criminals. I hope, I wish, and I pray that this girl, she's alive." End quote. The second arrest is a 23-year-old man named Riasid Singh. On April 14th, the York Regional Police announced his arrest after they had found him inside of a home that they had raided. He was arrested for his alleged involvement in the assault on Elna in December of 2021. He has been charged with attempted murder, kidnapping, and possession of property obtained by a crime over $5,000 and mischief under $5,000. A Canadian-wide warrant was also issued for another 23-year-old man named Harshdeep Bitter for his alleged involvement in the December assault. He was arrested for a different crime in March of 2022, but now the police are still looking for Harshdeep. Elna's assault and abduction are being handled by different police departments. The York Regional Police are handling the case of her assault, while the Ontario Providence Police are handling her abduction. The Ontario investigators do believe that Elna's abduction is linked to the December assault. They believe that these two men involved in her attack could possibly provide the identification of her abductors, if not involved themselves. Elnaz Hajtamiri has now been missing for over 100 days. She is 37 years old. She is 5'3" and slim build. She has shoulder-length black hair and was last seen in a long-sleeve shirt with black and gray leggings on. She was taken from the home barefoot. If you were in Wasaga Beach area on the night of January 12th, 2022 and saw anything suspicious or know anything especially involving the three men in police uniform or the white Lexus SUV, please call the tip line at 1-833-728-3415 or Crime Stoppers at 800-222-8477 to remain anonymous. Elna's family has also started a GoFundMe to help support their efforts to raise awareness of what is happening to Elna. I will have the GoFundMe along with the numbers in the episode description. But you can also find the GoFundMe link and help spread awareness by checking out the Instagram account at Bring Elna Home. That's BringElnashome. This account is run by her family and friends. For now, I want to thank Elna's family and friends for allowing me to share her story with you. And I want to thank you for listening to this episode. If you have the means to, please do what you can to help Elna and her family. You do not have to donate, even just sharing her face and sharing the page or sharing this podcast to share her story is enough. If you like this episode, please let me know on social media by reviewing the podcast on places like Apple Podcasts or Good Pods. If you would like to leave me suggestions on topics, cases, or some constructive feedback, you can do that on Missy Mystery social media. For now, stay safe, stay hydrated, and I hope you have a great week, and I will see you on the next episode.